the GOP debate that wasn't. The other night, were you watching NBC? Everybody was like, oh my gosh, Trish, I didn't even know there was a debate. Exactly. I'm with you. I was like, and I'm in this business. You didn't see anything about it, right? Because nobody cares. Because the guy who's actually the front runner isn't going to be there. Because you got an RNC that clearly can't put one foot in front of the other. And I say that because just look at the 8 governor races, the 3 Senate seats, the 19 House seats, the presidential race, and then what happened in Ohio, Kentucky, and Virginia the other night. And you got a situation where you're starting to say the management clearly of the Republican Party just isn't there. The messaging just isn't there. The money's not going to the right places. Now, is it? Right? Because if it was, well, you should be winning, right? That's the goal. You want to win elections. And as much as they want to say, oh, it's Donald Trump's fault. I don't think so. I mean, he's not on the ballot, right, in these governor races or with these Senate seats. I mean, the presidential race, that's something else. And the other thing I'd add to this is everybody's complaining. And you look at, like, for example, what happened in Bridgeport, Connecticut, outside of New York City in that Tony County, Fairfield County, Connecticut. Well, in Bridgeport, the Democrat mayoral race, everybody's still hanging on pins and needles because the judge had to reverse all that because guess what? They found evidence, video evidence of people stuffing ballot boxes. And then on election day, you had a couple of precinct members both arrested at the polls. I mean, it's like crazy town. And that was actually not for any allegations of stuffing ballot boxes. That was because in that particular case, apparently they got kind of out of line and allegedly one of them might have like hit or punched or had some kind of altercation with an elderly woman. I'm like, this is getting a little strange. But I would just say, if you're the RNC, you got to be anticipating this. You got to be saying, okay, you got to run 5 steps ahead of the Democrats, right? If they're going to be out there handing out absentee ballots, and guess what? 2 can play that game legally, by the way, legally. We'll do it legally. And you got to get everybody registered and everybody to the polls. And if we're going to do absentee ballots, then gosh darn it, do it. Okay? Ronna, do it. Ronna Romney McDaniel. Her problem, I think, is that she's trying to be all things to all people. And there's the donor class where she's getting the money. And then there's the sort of MAGA group that is also providing a lot of money, but not necessarily to the RNC specifically, right? More of that is just going straight to Trump. And I think she's caught between a rock and a hard place there, and she doesn't really kind of know which way to go. She can't get Trump to show up at the debates. And so they have these debates, and Vivek Ramaswamy also has been on this show a few times, who's very smart. I would say I like him a ton, but he's young and he's still got sort of a ways to go. But I like the energy that he's injecting into all of this. And I love that he's calling people out, because one of the problems that we have in politics is that everybody's bought and sold, right? Whether it's via Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, whether it's the big donor class. And we got to get away from that, because we need individuals with actual conviction and authenticity that will do something for the country, that feel a responsibility to give back. Vivek went on to this debate stage, which everybody assumed would be just totally boring. And it basically was, except for him. So this is like the kids' table, because none of these people are going to be president. I mean, maybe sort of they're auditioning for VP, but I don't even see that playing out. And Vivek took total aim at the moderators, at the RNC, at the system that politics has become. It was absolutely, positively epic. I want to share it with you here right now. Watch Vivek Ramaswamy and the moderator's reaction.
Ramaswamy, let me turn to you. Please make your case. Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer to the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, do you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Roberts.
Sorry. This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
and they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Let me turn to Governor Christie. Why you?
Lester Holt to the rescue there, huh? Kristen couldn't fire back. I mean, he had a point, right? You got to admit. You really think that Lester Holt and Kristen Welker, whatever, have frankly, the intelligence and the authenticity, right? Because they've scripted all their little questions down to be able to respond to any of this, to be able to ask the right questions, to be able to really be provocative in the ways that need to be done right now. I'd like to see people who have a real knowledge of everything from international affairs to business to just, man on the street reaction. I mean, I thought his suggestions were pretty good. Joe Rogan, he gets the man on the street, right? He knows how everyday Americans are feeling. Elon Musk, you're not going to get smarter than Elon. I'm sorry. Like I realize, he's a polarizing character for some people, but the guy is brilliant. And he has seen things before anyone, including the importance of having some energy alternatives in the future, including, by the way, the importance of maybe taking us all to Mars one day, because, we got a situation that's leading towards World War III or who knows what, right here on Earth. That, and then, Tucker's just plain old provocative and therefore interesting. I would add that you need somebody who understands business as well, right? Someone who really understands the economy. I mean, Elon's in that, but I would love him to be asking them about technology. I mean, we need smart people. We need smart people asking the questions. I'm sorry, Lester and Kristen, they do not cut it. She couldn't even respond. Lester had to jump in. She just sat there and smiled like a bump on a log. That is not who should be testing these candidates. We need someone who's just sort of operating at a different level, on a different playing field. And we don't have that. We don't have that in the field. We don't have that in the moderators. And so consequently, we're just like sinking to the bottom, lowest common denominator. And what I like about Vivek, and again, he's not perfect, but what I like about him is that he's not bought and sold. I mean, granted, I think he had a scripted line or two. The Cheney in 3-inch heels was great, right? Did you guys see that one? He's like, how is this any different? And by the way, the joke was, listen to this. He says, we got a few of those Cheneys on stage, because that was a direct ding at Ron DeSantis, who allegedly, per some of the rumors, is wearing some kind of lifts or something in his shoe to give him a little bit more height. Anyway, watch.
The fact of the matter is the Republican Party is not that much better. You have the likes of Nikki Haley, who stepped down from her time at the UN. Bankrupt or in debt was her family. Then she becomes a military contractor. She joins the board of Boeing and otherwise, and is now a multimillionaire. So I think that that's wrong when Republicans do it or Democrats do it. That's the choice we face. Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right, Mr.
In which case, we've got 2 of them on stage.
Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you. Senator Scott.
2 of them. We got 2. We got Ron DeSantis and we got Nikki Haley. Look, I will say this. Nikki's grown on me. She's growing in New Hampshire as well, and the people there, the live free or die state. I just can't get away from the fact that somebody is a career politician. I think that just like fundamentally that bugs me. It really bugs me. Because the career politicians that we've seen, they really haven't led us in the right direction. They're too beholden, to special interests. And so when I look back on the Trump administration's policies and sort of his just natural gut reaction to a lot of things, granted, I mean, yeah, there were a lot of mean tweets. There was a lot of quote unquote unpresidential behavior. There was a lot of giving it back to the media face to face, right? Like, let's just face it, like Biden, Obama, they didn't do it in the same way. They certainly gave it back, but it was behind closed doors as opposed to face to face. I mean, that's one of the funny things about everybody's like, oh, he was controlling the media. No, he wasn't controlling the media, because the media was like really nasty to him. And yes, he was nasty back, but it was all out in the open for you to see. not behind closed doors. And so when I look at the stable of people, it's like, okay, Chris Christie's bought and paid for. Nikki Haley, yeah, she knows a thing or two, right? Because she was over at the UN, yippee. But I'm not convinced that she is her own person.